chair speakers. Actors and singers can, of course, be mimics, but don't the Impressionists go that much further with their impersonations, usually involving a much wider repertoire than actors and singers? Is it really any surprise that there are such high numbers of actors and singers who act and sing in their own natural voices and personalities, maintaining purity and consistency in their performances with comparative ease? But this can be directly contrasted with the variety and flexibility demanded from character actors and singers in the theatre and on screen, whereas Impressionists will often exaggerate a specific well-known individual's speech patterns and mannerisms, using satire and comedy wherever they can. In essence, they bring out the mimicry into Mickey-taking. Many Impressionists do take their famous subjects to be impersonated from those on television and can include the judge panels of celebrity and talent contests. Wouldn't you agree that a lot of the judges on television panels often lend themselves to be impersonated and generally taken the rip out of? Unfortunately, it's not just the likes of Strictly Come Dancing judges that like to revel in evaluating, as the judge Simon Cowell on the Britain's Got Talent television show enjoys evaluating the contestants' performances so much that he even practices his evaluations on the birds tweeting in the rear garden of his London mansion private residence. He was once overheard shouting out to the birds saying, "Okay, stop. Look, I've heard enough. Starling, you're not a star to me, darling. Off you go. Thrush, yeah, how apt. It's unpleasant, it's embarrassing, and it keeps coming back. However, you won't be. Goodbye. Now you, Toto, you've got a big future. See you next week." Did you also know that the Strictly Come Dancing judge Shirley Ballas has had formal training in public speaking? No, I didn't either, but she has. Not surprisingly, Shirley Ballas likes to evaluate speeches too, and being so used to judging by appearances, she apparently gets annoyed when evaluating if the lectern is too high in relation to the speaker's overall standing height and therefore obstructs any top part of their body. If the lectern does obstruct the speaker, then Shirley has been known to bellow, "You've got to get up on the balls of your feet!" Often also closely followed by her stating, "You are my queen of topics, you know that, don't you?" What about the way politicians also like to publicly evaluate, and about the UK economy as a whole, whether it be boom or bust, recession, austerity, or the feel-good factor? Indeed, it wasn't too many light years ago when the politician Ken Clarke would regularly speak out about the feel-good factor. Perhaps Ken Clarke could include this in his manifesto at the next general election. Do you remember him from before when he used to say, "Let me tell you what we've done for the feel-good factor. We've decreased the rate of taxation on every bottle of whiskey available for purchase. We've also increased the weekly safe drinking limit from 21 years to 28 years. So clearly we've done far more for the feel-good factor than any political party in the history of mankind." Nearly as objective and profound, perhaps, if contrasted with Tony Blair. And just supposing if he was to ever make a full comeback to frontline politics. Supposing then if Tony Blair's own future electioneering is to include an extract from his own previous famous speech, which he gave at the Fabian Society conference when he said, "But I say unto you, for much of the 20th century, left of centre governments have agonised over a series of false choices, to be principled and electable, or electable and unprincipled. And why not? Politicians can often make great U-turns and bends, can't they? With them being diverse, versatile and multi-talented. Look at Bojo, Boris Johnson. The reason why they call him Bojo is because he is incredibly good at archery. an absolute demon with the crossbow and the proverbial bow and arrow. One day when he was playing archery for a big wager, he scored a bullseye with his first arrow. Bojo then felt so vulnerable, he thought he was going to be ostracised by the other competitors and sent to a garden shed in Coventry. As Bojo also thought he could imagine what David Cameron must feel like after a referendum. Bojo wanted to get away quickly and have a glass of Strongbow Joe cider, but he could not give the same old excuse that he had another tennis match to go and play. So he turned to everyone and shouted out, "I'll have to make a shot, Brexit!" He did then rapidly depart from that archery scene without even making a drink's toast to his guests, nor did he say a grace for the luncheon. As always, though, it is difficult to predict what might have been stipulated in a Bojo grace, because even generally in the world, the content when saying graces can vary enormously all round, comprising of a short prayer or thankful phrase before or after eating a meal, and at, say, an ASC charter dinner. In Preston, they are regularly reputed to say a grace of just, "There's the gravy, there's the meat, let's eat." Yet in Scotland, they can be more sophisticated, with a grace such as, "Some have meat who cannot eat. Some have meat who do not want it. We have meat and we can eat, and so say thank Lord for it." Perhaps the real test of a Scottish impressionism is to not say the name of the individual being impersonated. Just one little hint though, the Match of the Day television programme. Pedro packs a powerful penalty, plays a quality ball across the halfway line and hammers it in the top hand corner of the net. There are, of course, many other tip-top Scottish sports people, including the tennis superstar Andy Murray, with the terribly bad news now about his injuries. And it is absolutely no consolation whatsoever that Andy can now pursue his singing career with songs like "I was born under a wandering star." Yes, often impressions don't just hit on the spoken word, they often include impersonating an individual singing voice too. But even when singing, a person can still sing in their own local regional accent. If you've been to an Amdram musical and listened carefully to the chorus singing, did you sometimes hear the lyrics being sung with a local regional accent? Does it matter? Do the audience object? Or can some members of the audience actually hear and understand the words better if they are sung in dialect? Unlike Lancaster Grand Theatre and their Footlights group with their BBC-like RP, that being received pronunciation, a chorus song from a musical could be sung here at Lancaster like Boris Johnson and sound something like, "Ta-ra-ra-ra, blow the bugle, ta-ra-ra-ra, home we go, ta-ra-ra-ra, blow the bugle, ta-ra-ra-ra-ra." But go to Yorkshire and the same song could be heard as, "Da-da-da-da, blow it up bugle, ta-da-da-da, home we go, ta-da-da-da, blow it up bugle, ta-da-da-da-da." But regardless of which region you go to in the UK, or anywhere else in the world, as far as impressionists are concerned, surely there is usually something to latch onto to impersonate with every individual. But why sound and act like someone else? Are you not always happier to be yourself as an ASC speaker with your own personality and style of speaking, using your own dialogue and or carefully selected personally quotations? If so, just keep away from Amdram producers, for they will destroy you.